Order the public council meeting for the corporation of the township of Brookdale, Lindau, and Raglan this 13th day of May 2026 at 7:06 p.m. Roll call, Councillor Banks. Councillor Caulfield. Here. Councillor Keller.
Here.
Councillor Quad.
Present.
We have a resolution to adopt the agenda for this meeting that reads that the council for the corporation of the township of Brookdale, Lindau, and Raglan adopt the agenda as submitted. Could I get a mover for that, please? Councillor Keller, seconded by Councillor Quad. Any comments or questions from council? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? None. That motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest for anyone with anything on the agenda tonight from council? See none. Okay, we have a notice that is a statutory requirement. This public meeting has been convened to listen to comments from the public regarding the proposal for a new zoning bylaw in accordance with the Ontario Planning Act. No decisions will be made today as to approve or refuse the bylaw. The purpose and effect of the new zoning bylaw is to regulate the use of the land and the erection, location, and use of buildings within the entire municipality. The new zoning bylaw consists of text and a schedule or a map and will implement the County of Renfrew official plan and the provincial policy statement. As part of the proposal, all of the current existing zoning bylaws for the township of Brookdale, Lindau, and Raglan will be repealed and replaced with the provisions of the new comprehensive zoning bylaw. Section 3414.5 of the Planning Act requires the public be informed of who is entitled to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal under sections 3411 and 3419 as follows. Section 3411, if council decides to refuse an application or refuses or neglects to make a decision on an application within 90 days of the municipal clerk receiving the application, the applicant or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. Section 3419, not later than 20 days after the giving of notice of passing of the bylaw, the applicant, a specified person or public body, a registered owner of any land to which the bylaw would apply, made oral submissions at the public meeting or made a written submission to council before the bylaw was passed, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. We'll have the clerk's notice.
So public notice was sent out to all residents in the interim tax billing on March 1st, 2026 and posted on the municipal website and social media, which exceeded the minimum requirements of the Planning Act.
So Lindsay Bennett, the senior planner with the County of Renfrew, will provide an overview of the proposed bylaw and changes that have been made from the comments that were received from the first public meeting on February the 18th, 2026.
Thank you, Chair and Council of Brookdale and Dr. Raglan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lindsay Bennett. I'm a planner with the County of Renfrew. So Council has made changes to the proposed bylaw as a result of the public comments received at the previous public meeting and throughout any of the comments that came in from them. So the first one was the transition from minor variances. Council changes transition from minor variances from 18 months to 24 months. For shipping containers, Council has decided to change the shall to should for visual screening, and they removed the methods of visual screening. For mobile homes, so a mobile home is permitted in a mobile home park. Council also decided to permit a mobile home in any zone that permits the residential use with the following provisions. To be a maximum of one mobile home is permitted on a vacant individual lot. A mobile home shall only be permitted on an individual lot with a minimum lot area of 0.4 hectares or 1 acre. The mobile home shall not be rented or leased, and a minimum setback from any street of 7.5 meters is required. For recreational vehicles, council increased the 30-day maximum that was proposed to 30 days maximum and removed the reference to the 14 consecutive days.
No,
Sorry, to 60 days. So from 30 to 60, and remove the reference of the 14 consecutive days. For open storage, council removed the section regarding boat and RV storage from the bylaw. So as we indicated at the last meeting, there are items that are outside of the municipality's control to change, and those are based on provincial interests. They include identified mineral aggregate areas, setbacks to waste disposal sites, environmentally sensitive areas, and administrative transportation requirements. The separation distance from aggregate resources, so those are those resources zoned MP, mineral pit, and mineral pit reserve on the maps, are outside of the municipality's control as they are based from the province, and the municipality is required to implement them in this zoning bylaw. The draft bylaw does provide that for a lot that has a dwelling as a permitted use, and where that lot is located entirely within that separation distance requirement, you are allowed to build a house. So if you have a lot that is, say, zoned rural and you are entirely within that buffer, it does not stop you from building a dwelling. So you can still be allowed to build that. If you have a property that is zoned rural and half of the lot is in the buffer and half is not, you can build as a right on the lands outside of the buffer. The lands on within that buffer, you would have to do a minor variance and an aggregate site in order to reduce that required separation distance. So the available draft zoning bylaw document and the map schedules have been updated, and they are on the township's website. And alternatively, there is a paper copy of the text and the maps at the township office. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll ask for comments from the public now. If you wish to speak, you're required to come to the mic at the table here and provide your name and address. For the sake of conserving time and ensuring everyone has the opportunity to address council, it is requested that people with the same or similar comments to a previous comment please refrain from duplicating submissions where possible. The purpose of this meeting is to gather comments from the public. It is not intended to be a forum for back and forth dialogue with council or staff. Staff will prepare a written report summarizing all comments received during this meeting, as well as any submitted in writing. However, if staff are able to provide a brief answer to a question during the meeting, they will make an effort to do so. So if there's any members that would like to address council and the proposed zoning bylaw, we'll ask you to come to the mic, please.
Yep. I just have a short question. We have a sleep cabin by the lake.
We'll start with your name and address.
Name Jasmine Swadoop. And the address is 132 Wanamaker Road, McArthur's Mills. Right, the question is, we have a sleep cabin that's near the lake, separate from the main house in a rural property. And we're wondering if we can offer that as a bed and breakfast. Because it can't be leased or rented, so I don't know if that applies in this case. Right.
So it would not be permitted, so a sleep cabin, you cannot rent or lease it, so if that was something that you were going to do, you would have to get this one.
Because
Site
only,
specific one, so
Okay.
that's not, so and a bed and breakfast has a different terminology where you have to live.
would an additional dwelling unit be different?
So if you met the provisions of the bylaw for additional dwelling units, we can look at that. So
Yeah.
it's site specific, so you can call and we can have a conversation.
Right. So who would I call?
So you can call me at the county.
Call the county and like a specific thing. All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a specific situation.
Mhm.
So it'd have to be dealt with specific, site specific. Yeah.
Thank you.
Marilyn Watson, 56 Simmons Road. So we submitted different things, but a lot of it wasn't taken into consideration, so do we repeat what we send in before? Like, for example, a shipping container. You're not allowed to have a shipping container in rural residential, in rural residential.
No,
And that was a comment that was made, like, why not?
we dealt with that though. And it's allowed?
No, not in
No.
rural residential.
Oh, not in rural residential. Okay, it's only in the rural area. Anything that was submitted before, we have reviewed. Council had a special meeting and we went through all of the submissions, all of the comments. And anything that wasn't mentioned, we were
Vetoed.
leaving it the way it was.
So you vetoed it.
So we
So there's
did
no
change.
there's no point then in reiterating or re-asking for anything that we asked for that wasn't put in then.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow. So the council is representing us, right?
Mhm.
So most of the things that we asked for aren't being taken into consideration, so.
They don't send any of this information. Are they not sent any of that?
Correct.
Hi. Rick Clements, 23 Red Pine Drive. Hi, everyone. I guess I'm following up on Marilyn's comments that when do these bylaws have to be implemented?
It will be dealt with before the end of this council's term.
But if this council doesn't have to live with the repercussions, could it not be delayed till we have an election this fall? That it be a election debate and the next
We-
council that has to live with the what the public wants and the repercussions, would it not be better for them to make the decision?
All of council has to live with the repercussions. We all live in the municipality and they affect, all those changes affect us the same as it affects any of the ratepayers.
But as Marilyn pointed out, there were a number that weren't incorporated, and so therefore, the question is why not?
Because I believe we dealt with things that was going to affect the ratepayers significantly. Other changes that were asked for might be good for the person that asked for them, but may adversely affect the surroundings. Excuse me. So we put a lot of thought into dealing with the comments, had great discussion. I mean, if anybody wants to go back to YouTube to watch that meeting, it was posted and you can get from it why council made the decisions they did and why they made changes and why they didn't make changes.
Yeah, I didn't watch that, so.
Okay, well, it was posted, we had that meeting in, when was it? April.
Okay.
And the YouTube was posted, I believe, the next day after that meeting. So that is the meeting when we met and we had all of the comments that were made and the written submissions and everything were all listed for us and we went through
Each one.
and
Okay.
did it that way.
And I have one more question if I could.
Sure.
Related to the sort of mineral pit aggregate. Obviously the map, presumably done by, I don't know if we would say Toronto or whatever. Has it been reviewed by like council to ensure like it's the accuracy? Because we live in the Canadian Shield and there seems to be just pockets of aggregate, deemed, material pits and aggregate and therefore buffer zones everywhere. And as far as I know, there's only a 2 or 3, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know how many real aggregate pits there are, but. And therefore what diligence has been done that the maps are accurate and therefore that we are therefore bound to follow all of these? I guess would be my question, what due diligence has been done?
Okay, I will try and take a stab at that. Those designations are set by the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Mhm.
So for it to change, it would have to be changed by the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Mhm.
And that is a provincial policy statement.
Mhm.
Municipal councils are creations of the provincial government. Part of our governance is to obey the laws and the regulations of the province.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, we can't change anything about it. We take an oath of allegiance that we are to respect all the laws of the government and the municipality. And we're tied to that. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, it would be nice if the Ministry of Natural Resources would do a new study to kind of get maybe better mapping, but that's out of the municipality's control.
But that's where I kind of pause for a second and say, well, wait a second, here, this is. I'll use late language, this is being forced upon us and we can't do anything. I think. We and by we, I mean, all of us have a vested interest in what goes on in the BLR. And we should do our due diligence that make sure that somebody in Toronto knows what they're talking about out here in the rural. And lots of times that's not the case.
That's
And
true.
whether there's an opportunity to look at that. And I don't know how it'll be done or anything else, but to review the maps to say, well, wait a second here. What is really a mineral pit aggregate or whatever the definition is, and what is just some gravel laying around. And therefore we're not subject to all these buffer zones because when I look at the map, wow, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something our municipality can do is to maybe request that the ministry look at doing a new study to update that statement.
Yeah.
And we can take that back to our council meeting,
Yeah, and I
because
don't,
I totally agree with you.
sure, yeah.
And I think Bruce wants to add something to this.
Sure.
Thank you. I can just add a little bit of context. So many places in Ontario do, like when I talk places, many municipalities in Ontario do refine the aggregate areas for their municipalities. So the one for Brunel, Leduc and Raglan and Renfrew County. So Brunel, Leduc and Raglan, they use the county official plan as the official plan for the local municipality instead of having their own official plan and having a duplicate multiple official plans. So there are about 1 of 10 for local municipalities that all share the county official plan. When the county official plan was done, that's the appropriate time to review the aggregate mapping to make sure it's accurate. So the province provides the raw data, the information about where the resource is, where the sand is, where the gravel is, where's the bedrock, that's good. And then the municipality has the choice of looking at that and refining it or doing their own aggregate study to further identify that and either add to it or refine it or subtract areas. But they have to go through there's a process they have to go through, hire experts and to go and do that study. So at that time of that official plan review, council today had the option of doing their own site-specific, BLR-specific aggregate study at a significant cost, or use the provincial mapping and data that was available. And so all the municipalities in Renfrew County decided to use the provincial data and not proceed with that more detailed aggregate mapping for municipalities. So it was a decision from previous council. It was a decision made with Renfrew County Council to use the information that we had from the province to what's called save a lot of money, to not have to do these individual sites, which would have been a very large investment. But so that's the history of where we're going. I'm not justifying whether it was right or wrong. Just like this is how we got where we are. So we have the information we have is the provincial data, and that's the basis for how the mapping is and where the mapping is where it is. So if the council wanted to change it, then they'd have to go and at the time of official plan, not the zoning bylaw. So at the time of the official plan, they would have to go and hire individual aggregate experts to go and vet the data and go and do their own study. So that's the process the township wants to do. That's available to them, but that's a different stage. It's a different process.
I have no more questions. Thanks.
Thanks. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the meeting too, that there's no recording permitted during this meeting. We have our recording on and it will be posted on YouTube for you to see. Does anyone else have a question or comment?
I don't want to be grand too early. Kevin Markwood.
Yes.
1491 Shoot Road. Just gonna read something here. I went through the municipal act after the last meeting. What governs the council? Here. Who are you governed by? Who tells you what to do and not?
Our municipal act was created by the province.
Okay, but that's basically,
We're a creation of the province.
okay. I'm just gonna read one thing that I read there. I don't want to stir things up. But the Municipal Act gives the authority to municipalities to control land that they own or control. Is that true? That's what I read in the Municipal Act.
Okay.
So that's true. Okay. That authority does not automatically extend to land held in private ownership. Private land is not municipal property. Private land is held under Crown grant and protected by property and civil rights. That's true.
That's true, but
Okay, so,
the zoning bylaw is not under the municipal act, it's under the planning act.
okay, so, but.
And that's where the authority comes from for zoning bylaws and official plans is to the planning act, not the municipal act.
Through the planning, okay?
Yeah.
One more thing, Rick talked about gravel pits, and I do have a gravel pit. And, I'm not affected personally, I said that before, and I know there's nothing I can do apparently. But I'm concerned about the people with lands that my buffer affects. And it's not just I'm not the only one who feels that way.
No, and I know council, a lot of most, well, I would say all of council feels the same way, but we don't have control over that. It's under the provincial policy statement.
Yeah,
And we can't, other than what Bruce said, if the township wanted to hire consultants to do an aggregate study of the municipality to get it accurate, and I'm sure that the taxpayers in this room would not be happy with that cost put onto your taxes. Because it would be an astronomical.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the point was that was for pits that were reserved, huh?
No, all aggregate.
All of it.
But these pits that are reserved now, if a property's affected by that, and the landowner does not ever want to have a pit there, would that not be taken away? It can't be taken away.
No,
So somebody went around years ago and said that's a pit, that's a pit, that's a pit. Okay, potential pit. Okay. Okay, that's
okay.
all I want to say.
Sherry Janup, 750 Lower Rosenthal Road. Just for clarification purposes, you're talking about the April meeting that you had amongst council.
Mhm.
Was that the council meeting or you had a separate meeting with the county that day, like for the council meeting, or is there a separate meeting another time?
We had excuse me, we had a special meeting that we met with the county, but it was not it was a public special meeting. Anybody could have attended it, and it was posted on YouTube.
Okay, what was the date for that? Do you know what the date was?
Don't offhand. Do you know, Lindsay?
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Oh, so
That was the regular.
That was the
regular meeting?
Pardon?
So it wasn't a regular meeting?
No.
No, it wasn't, because there was a lot of comments and we didn't want to try and jam it in
Okay.
to a regular meeting, so we had a special meeting.
And how long in advance was that special meeting posted?
How long has it been posted?
In advance, how long was it posted in advance of having that meeting?
We wouldn't have made a notice on it
Oh,
because it wasn't a meeting for, like, we had the public meeting for the public to come to us.
no,
This,
but council meetings, I go to the council meetings.
yeah,
So the meeting that you had beyond that, was it an open meeting for people to attend at all, or?
yeah,
So was it posted, is what I'm asking?
Yes,
yes.
Okay, and
And
how
how
far in advance was it posted?
it would have had the same notice that our regular council meetings.
It would have had an agenda.
2
The
days?
Friday prior.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. All right, thank you. It's on April 9th. Yes, thank you.
I've got to ask a question. I'm sorry I didn't get to none of the other meetings, so there's a lot I don't know, just by what sometimes people were telling me.
Name and address.
Now, I only have a double white trailer. I
Okay,
have
so
no,
what's your name? We need your name and address.
pardon?
We need your name and address.
Oh, my name is Marlene Ryan and my address is 37373 Highway 28. Anyway, it's Palmer Rapids, even though I live up farther out. Anyway, yeah, I live in a double white trailer.
Mhm.
And I have a trailer that I have gone to several music festivals.
Mhm.
But if I have, like, my sister and her family is all from Kitchener.
Mhm.
So when I have them come home, there are times that they have used my trailer, but they don't use it, just would be for a weekend. So is that okay for them to be able to use it? I had the idea that they couldn't even stay in it. Cause I only have a double white trailer
Yeah.
and it's small. It's only 800 square feet.
It's parked in your driveway and they would use it for sleeping.
If I had it parked in my driveway, because I have a double driveway. Because you know,
If you don't have.
I can't hear you, honey. Anyway, your family always gets bigger, it don't get smaller. And if you have children and your children grow up and they meet someone, then you got more people coming into your home for
I've
your
had people,
holidays.
I've had people sleep in a trailer in my driveway.
Pardon?
I've had people sleep in my trailer in a driveway for a night or two.
Yeah, we probably.
It's not like they're living, they're not living.
It's permitted.
It's permitted.
Pardon?
It's permitted. They're
Okay.
only sleeping there overnight. They're not living there.
Well, no,
No.
no. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on that and never, I was okay. Okay, thank you.
Mark Newman, 57 Brewston Road. Hi, everyone. I'm going back to the pits and gravel.
Yes,
So my property had a gravel pit.
yes.
It was exhausted. It is now being zoned in with a larger buffer. It's also beside water protection. I planned on building a home in that area at retirement. And so if it's a planning thing, how do I get around that? Who do I talk to? What do we do? Like, the pit was exhausted. the
I'm
gravel's
going to
gone.
pass it down to Lindsay and Bruce.
Okay, so normally we try to avoid having site-specific conversations because we don't have all the details involved and.
Of course, I just want it on record.
Yeah, I wanna know more about your situation before I give you definitive answers, but I'll give you a very generic answer.
Okay,
And then, but whether or not everything applies to your property and your situation, not sure.
Yep.
But in general, if a pit was licensed with the ministry, so the ministry governs and is responsible for all they have a jurisdiction for gravel pit licenses. If that license was, or if that pit was exhausted, the license was surrendered, then it does come off the maps and we would stop, we would remove the buffer and remove the zoning. But if the license is still active or there's still resource surrounding where that pit was, so just because the one area has been exhausted, doesn't mean that the resource for the whole area has been removed. So it really does depend on the site specific factor, on each individual spot. But there is a process to go through if the resource is taken out of the ground, then yes. There's a process with the ministry to get taken off the maps and it would get taken off zoning as well and complete the buffer.
So should he contact you directly then that it can be looked at before the zoning bylaw would be finalized, that it could be removed?
She went to Lindsay, take a look at your property specifically, and if that's the situation where you have surrendered a license or there's no more reserve around it, then it might be an opportunity, then yes, to have it removed from the map, the text.
okay, perfect.
So maybe get in contact with them like sooner rather
sure.
than later.
Thank you.
I'd actually just like to revisit because we were just told there's basically nothing can be done. Now one person comes up and says, oh, if happens, that maybe the map is not correct. So, or am I misunderstanding here?
No, if it was listed as, it would have been listed as mineral resource.
Mhm.
But if it's exhausted
Mhm.
and they haven't updated their maps, they wouldn't, it would still show. But if someone knows it's exhausted and with consultation through MNR for a specific spot that's exhausted, it could be changed.
So.
But I'm not saying for mineral aggregate designations, it's all over the municipality. If they haven't been,
Surrender.
yeah, if they haven't been used, they're not going to be removed.
But is there a process where they can be, because there's probably people that don't even know that they have such rights? And therefore, is there a process for if people wanted to do something about it because it's on their property, there's an opportunity to do something about it?
You just clarify the question, somebody, if they want to have the resource removed from their map?
Yeah,
So the short answer to that one is no, generally no, because the province has identified areas where the resource exists. And the whole purpose of going to that exercise of identifying them is to make sure that that resource is gonna be there for future generations, not necessarily the person who owns the property now, even the next generation, but 100 years from now, whatever it is that they've identified a resource that's important, that they've said, this is something that we should make sure that's gonna be available for future generations. So we wanna make sure that whoever's building in that area or doing anything in that area, whatever they're doing is not going to impact the future extraction potential of that resource. So if that resource though has been extracted already, it's been exhausted, then yes, it can come off the map, those setbacks can be taken reduced. Ministry through their licensing program, there's a rehabilitation requirement. So anybody who has a license pit will know this. There's a rehabilitation plan that goes with it, so that's all part of it. So if the resource has been exhausted, the pit has been rehabilitated, then it can come off the maps, the buffer can come off as well. But the resource itself, if that resource is still in the ground, then the process to change that is at the time of an official plan amendment with the appropriate studies and supported by the ministry.
I'll get the.
Okay, so I'm doing a second request, if there's any more comments.
I'm Irvin Godlin, 145 Godlin Road. This gentleman here. When who has to rehabilitate the exhausted sand pit or gravel pit? The license holder or the property holder?
So I'm not an expert on how the licensing works, so it is a ministry approval, so I'm not 100% sure, but it could go, it depends on, I would say, off the top of my head, it would be the holder of the license would have that responsibility. But if you were the owner of the property, you were licensing it out to somebody, or releasing that property out to a person who's extracting it, I would assume that, I would hope that whoever the property owner is including that in the lease, any rehabilitation costs would be on the licensee. Because ultimately, if that person walked away, it would be the property owner who's on the hook because that license is with the property owner. But so hopefully whoever's leasing that land, if the property owner themselves is not the same person who's taking the aggregate out of the ground, they would hope the property owner has done their proper agreements and protected themselves with regards to.
But what happens when it's been several property owners through the years have bought and reused the property but are not the holder of the license for the aggregate?
The license runs with the land, I believe. So the province.
But the landowner can't extract the mineral because they don't own the license.
The owner is not giving them permission, this is outside, so it's not really a zoning related question, so it's a little less than what it's.
Well, anyway, you touched on it earlier.
Somebody, property owner has to give permission to somebody else to come on and to remove the aggregate. So nobody's gonna be taking aggregate off of somebody's land that doesn't have permission to do it for the owner.
And
So that scenario shouldn't happen.
closing the pit is a big procedure. Like you had touched, I believe one of the other meetings I'd asked you or I overheard you. These aggregates that the ministry has put in place, the deposits, was back in the 60s, right?
The mapping was done in 60, 70, that's when the original soils and bedrock mapping was.
So we're talking 50, 60 years ago. When they had no regulations on the type of gravel they have. To meet grades and stuff, right? Cause the township all here knows. What they've had licensed. They can't use to put on roads because. It doesn't meet the grades of today, but back then it did. Right? So we go back to where these mapping is so old. That the aggregates to meet today's grade does not match. But yet all the implements are going on to landowners for the zoning and stuff. But the aggregate isn't there. If you're talking gravel, it's not there. It does not meet the grade. It cannot be used. So why is all the costs going on the township or the landowners to prove that? They should be proven that, yes, these aggregates are still here to meet today's grade, right? And maybe the township can be asking for them to do some proving. If they say it's there, prove that it's there. Cause I've been on most of a lot of properties around here where these aggregates are supposed to be here. It's not there.
Well, I think it's a discussion council is going to have at a meeting and perhaps we will
You
make
all-
a request to
You
the
all know
ministry
the
to
pit that
bring,
yous are taking sand out is no good.
yeah. and
It
we
doesn't
can
meet the
ask-
grade, right?
Yeah.
But it did years ago. There was no grade.
And we can ask them maybe to look at upgrading that, but until they do, there's nothing, like I said, that we can do, but we can send a request to them.
I certainly think that it should be looked
Yeah.
at because the zoning that they're making everybody go by, and back in the sixties when they did this, they didn't say, hey, you're not gonna be able to build there because we think there's aggregates there. 50 years later, they're telling us now we can't build there because there's potentially aggregates there. You know,
We
they've
will,
gotta get up with the times. If they're gonna say you can't do this, then they should maybe prove that it's there, right? Not charge us to prove, you prove. They got all kinds of instruments that they can prove where it is.
okay, we'll take that to our council.
And meet the
meeting.
standards of today, like that they're putting out.
We will take that to our council and discuss it and make a request probably to the ministry to update that. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good enough across the taxpayer. All of Ontario get together and go out.
Hi, Pat Gronkowski, 8026 Young Road.
Okay.
Based on what he's just saying, who can we write to get some action?
Your local MPs. MPP,
Why
it's
doesn't,
provincial.
why doesn't our MPP know about any of this stuff?
Well, he does know about it, but I mean,
Not
it's,
according to the phone call.
oh, well. He has the means to check into it, but that's who it's provincial.
Mm-hmm.
So it
No,
would
what
be,
about some of the other, like you're talking about a couple different ministries, so.
off the top of my head, I don't know who the Minister of Natural Resources is. But
so no-
if
don't
you
have
look,
to-
if you look on the Ontario website, you should be able to find the Minister of Natural Resources, the Ministry of Natural Resources. They change so often, you lose track of who's who.
Okay,
And also our local MPP, Billy Deneau.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Ron Woodry, Harvard Lake, 38116. So in other words, I'd sit there and listen to all this stuff. So why don't you guys give us, pay half our taxes if you're taking all our lands?
Well, they're not.
I think that, oh,
It's
they
not,
are.
it's
They
not
are.
them. They're
No,
not provincial.
They're behind it. There's people behind it, all through the government, council, y'all know. But no, why should we have to pay full taxes when they're gonna steal any place of land that you can't use? And that's what it's coming to in this planning committee. We'll have no rights. You're
We've
turning
always-
this into a communist country.
It's
Your
always,
rights is going away and you're taking them away.
it's in our past
don't
zoning
care.
bylaws and
There's-
official
there's-
plans that we
there's-
already
They're
have.
just shoving this junk down our throat. I think it's time that maybe we do something about ourselves. Start pushing back. Cause if not, we're not gonna own nothing to pay high taxes on the little bit of land you own. And what's gonna be done about it? They're gonna take it off. That's what they're after, because they can't manage their own stuff. They'll take the rural areas stuff
Well-
and turn this into cities. Like stuff you can't have, like sheds or sea can. What the heck is sea can gonna hurt if it's sitting out? Like if you want on your house, you drive through Bancroft, there's some there, they have them painted nice and white, black trim. You don't even notice them, they look decent, but I could see if you leave it like a shabber. But if you paint it up and dress it up, there's been no reason you can't have a sea can either.
Well,
I
there's,
don't think so.
you can have CCAM here,
Oh, yeah,
just
here,
not in
but,
all
but
areas.
user covering everybody, like even you get close to Bancroft, they're doing the same with this,
Yeah.
steamrolling us with the same crap that they're doing there all over. Every township is doing the same freaking thing. And we just pay the price and put our head in the sand and stay there, and that's what they want. Like, I don't agree with that, and I think there has to be something done about it.
Well, we have changed up those things in our zoning bylaw, so
Well, I hope so,
But
because
we
I'm
can't-
afraid, like,
we can't
it's not
change,
gonna fly.
we can't change mineral aggregate though, because
Well,
it's a permit.
mineral aggregate, they can't manage their own land, them and ours, so why would they start on private people's land? That's what it is.
And we have
Yeah.
discussed this at other meetings,
So,
so,
but I
Okay.
just, it's just enough. You're taking everything from us and we're getting nothing back. So we're a rural area, like the wages and stuff is nothing like bigger place. A lot of this stuff started in Prince Edward County. Where does all this stuff come from? And they're just moving along. I know that for a fact.
well, it's been around for years, so.
Oh, yeah, but this here has been started out there with the farmers and they're moving through. Taking land away from them out there. They're doing it all over the
Oh, we're
country.
not gonna take your land.
Oh, yeah, but you want us to pay for it all? Why should we pay for it? if
Okay,
you-
order.
Taxes.
Order, we've discussed all of these things, so.
Yeah, well, I don't care, but I think should be something done different about it.
Well, I told you we were going to discuss,
Yeah, but you gotta
That
discuss
one.
it and mean discuss it
Yeah.
too, like. a
so,
lot
because
of
we
stuff
know
we-
how people feel and we're
Yeah,
not
because
here.
it'll probably get bad before it gets worse. Somebody starts trampling on someone's land. It'll be different altogether.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So the third call, there's someone?
I'm Del Ribadowski, 449 Moccasin Lake Road. I know these guys are all against Airbnb and stuff like that. But how does people from the city and stuff come in and camp on our land? That we pay taxes on and the crown land behind us and stuff like that, and leave all the garbage and everything like that, and they're entitled to the same amount of time. To stay, that I can stay on my own property if I have friends come in or whatever. And I donated years ago, an outdoor crapper. That people shot holes in, they burnt it, they did everything, but
We know
now
about
it's
that.
gone,
We get the same with our,
right?
stuff at the.
But
beach.
listen, there's other municipalities that have numbers on every one of the public camp or township campsites. And even if it's only $5 that they gotta call these guys, register, which is that they're going to be there, at least you know whose garbage is left behind when they leave. Like, we got trailers at the lake, we're clean, we're tidy, they wouldn't be there if they weren't tidy. But listen, I know there's at least 5, 6 campsites at the back of my lake, there's other people that is
So they're on.
unemployed,
They're
yes
on
they
crown
are,
land.
yes they are, but our township drives right by there. Put some numbers there, or talk to the ministry about this. Because I can tell you what, you go down in the Cloyne, Northbrook area, I can book a campsite on Crown Land there anytime I want. And nobody could be there then, at that point in time, it only cost me $10, but if I leave a mess there, they know that it was me that left the mess there. And there's lots of these areas around here that we go and pick up the garbage after the people who come from out of towns, and I don't think that's fair.
Well, it's crown land, so we wouldn't have authority on it.
I get a hold of them because I don't see why not, because the municipalities are doing there and doing the same thing
It
on
might
Crown
be the
Land.
ministry, because I know they do rent out some stuff some places. Oh,
Well,
it could be the ministry.
it's a good thing to talk to or whatever that, because all the garbage is along our township roads. Not back there. Thank you.
If I can say something.
Yeah.
Delroy. I know you're right, because down in the Pletno area, they do have a system where they go through the municipality, you can rent a site. You get charged so much a night, et cetera. Sorry, if everybody wants me to start over, but I know Delroy's right, down in the Pletno area, Moyne, there is sites on Crown land. That municipalities do look after, I've looked at the site myself. It's a way of, they take that money and kind of put it back into the roads for maintenance, et cetera. But I'm sure there's a very specific bylaw that council would have to pass, and then of course you need by law enforcement to enforce those rules also.
Worth a try.
Yeah.
Please.
It's a law.
Seven place also.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. And so this is the third call.
So, if somebody has a CCAN on a piece of property right now, it's rural residential, does that have to be removed?
No, anything that's existing when the bylaw is passed is legal non-conforming until it would be removed. If it was removed, they wouldn't be able to replace it, but as long as it's there, it's legal non-conforming.
If there's any.
That's 201 River Road. Is there a minimum amount of aggregates before you classify it as a pit?
I don't know. Do you know what
That's a.
if ministry, that would be a
The
ministry?
license will say how much you're allowed to extract.
But I don't have a license. My pit was 50, 60 years old. It's basically wiped out. There is a little bit there. I had the lady from Pembroke come in and walk around it 20 minutes, and when I got the report back, said there was a little bit of gravel here, a little bit of gravel there. Not any substantial amount that anybody would ever even want to come in to crush. Secondly, where it is, it's too close to another property to do the sloping and finishing off. Like once you take it out,
Yeah, to,
then you got the water on the other side, so. When she did it, she based it where it was sitting. And when you do the offset everything, there's nothing left. And then I wanted her to come back and redo the thing, and I was gonna pay the gas for it because because there's a ridge, you can think it's aggregate, it's bedrock. Do you classify bedrock as aggregate?
Quick answer is only if it's limestone. So sometimes if it's limestone, yes, but if it's granite, no.
No, well, that's where I think you guys should be coming back and remapping some of this before you push this new law down.
we don't control that. That's controlled by the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Well, then I'd get on their case to come in before we pass this law, because not
But
only
we-
myself is gonna be in trouble here, everybody, and once it's passed, it's passed.
If I was you and it's site specific to your property, I would ask them because it won't cost you. The only way we could tell is if there was a consultant did an aggregate study and we're not about to do
I
that.
have that one in Pembroke.
From the ministry?
From the
Not
Ministry of
Ministry,
Natural,
when I did the lot for Jeremy,
the Natural Resources,
no, but they put down,
the county, well, the county couldn't do it. It has to be Ministry of Natural Resources. Because
well, I'm sure it was one of your ladies out of the Pembroke office.
when you had a sever, no, it wouldn't be.
Well, that's where I did all the dealing and then.
Well, it could have been with the severance, but for aggregate, she wouldn't have any input on aggregate.
Okay, now is there a buffer zone if there was already houses there and the gravel pit is on the other side of the road? How close they can come up to those houses?
Just so we're passing the liquor on, is your pit
You should
open
buy
or
another
closed?
one.
Is your pit open or closed?
And
Is your pit open or closed?
well, it's
it was open years ago, but there's not enough there to light.
No, but is it an active or is it still, or has it been closed? That's all I'm asking.
It's never been closed, but this was back in the sixties or seventies when they.
Well, then I think you should talk to Ministry of Natural Resources.
Yeah, just get it closed.
Yeah, so I don't want to, I'm not gonna go into any site specific scenarios or.
Yeah.
I just don't have to know, don't know enough about your specific property to be a knowledgeable answer. So in general, again, the mapping itself has not changed. So the township is updating its zoning bylaw to make sure it's in line with the official plan, and the official plan mapping has not changed. It's been the same since 2003. So nothing's changed. The one difference is the province increased the separation distance. So before it was the same resources that were mapped. The resources haven't changed. It went from 150 meters to 300, so that's the biggest impact. And for the first time, that 150 meter buffer, that buffer always existed. But it was just never mapped before, it was never put on the map, so it existed in the textbook. Nobody really knew how much they were affected because they couldn't actually see it on the map. So the two changes were, you got bumped up, it got doubled, which the township doesn't have any say in it, the province doubled it, but it is what it is. And then we showed it on the map. So now people get to actually see, now they're like, oh boy, I'm affected by it. Whereas before, you might have been affected, but you just maybe didn't know it.
So what happens in a little piece where there's 2,000 meters here, 1,000 meters over there? And before you can dig any out, you have to have somebody come in and do if it costs me more money to have somebody come in and do that, than what that is, so that should be, it's wiped out or whatever, that you can't use it.
Well, it'd have to be the Ministry of Natural Resources that would do that.
If you were trying to open the pit.
But I'm not opening, like, if I had to go in right now, I could dig into it because it's all stripped off. When I got the Sunday severance there.
That's what I was just trying to figure out, whether your pit's open or closed, right? Maybe it's already been closed.
Yeah, maybe talk to Natural Resources like really soon, and if it is nothing there, then it can be changed
Yeah.
on the mapping.
But see, those maps that they're going by, when I asked the question about them, they told me in Pembroke, well, those maps were M&R maps that were back in the sixties.
Yeah,
And I told them everyone, if they would have come with me, I could have taken them down the road and showed them every one of those bits that were on there are abandoned, they're
Yeah.
done.
well, then
Nothing.
if it's on your land, you should speak with them and see if you can get an answer out of them, okay? Okay. So I'll do a third call if there's any more comments or questions. Okay, thanks everyone for coming out. Oh, if anybody has any written submissions, please leave them with the clerk. And if you want to receive further notice, you must sign the list provided indicating your name, address, and postal code at the door. And we'll pass it over to Lindsay and Bruce for closing comments. No comment? Okay.
I ask one more question, quick, just before I go.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if yous know, I'm Delroy again, I don't know if yous know, I think everybody does or whatever like that, that's kind of a concern around my area. Does everybody know what's going on up at the Walter Farm there with all these animals starving and stuff like that? Like the horses were out on the highway there last week, I got a phone call myself, they would have got into the cemetery and shoot. Cause the guy does not fence that property, absolutely nothing, I was up there on Saturday. The animals are on other people's properties up there. It's getting carried away. The garbage that is up there is out of hand.
Okay, well, that doesn't,
I know it doesn't have nothing to do with tonight.
no, call the office and register a complaint and we'll look into it, okay? And see what we can do. We do have a bylaw enforcement officer now, so if there's something we can do, we will. Okay.
Sorry about interrupting him, but
No,
that's
that's
just getting out of control. Thank you.
Thanks for everybody for coming out to the meeting and participating in the zoning bylaw update process. council will consider all of submissions at a further council meeting, okay? Thank you. We have a conservation bylaw for the that we, the council for the corporation of the township of Brunel, and adopt the bylaw 2026-29 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 13th, 2026 public meeting. Council having been introduced and read first, second, third time, finally passed.
Are we gonna move her for the confirmation bylaw? Thank you.
Can you just wait till I finish? Call for the vote, all those in favor? No. All in favor? Everybody's in favor. And I'll call for the adjournment, moved by. Yeah. All those in favor? At 8:06. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead with my name.
I need that to send.
Chiefs,
I